Well, a short moment ago, we heard the Auditor General Tsakani Maluleke giving the latest audit outcomes for municipalities, 270 municipalities. The report is already on their website, the Auditor General website, and they're saying that there has been an increase in clean audits, with 27 municipalities maintaining their clean audit status, 14 achieving a clean audit for the first time, and 6 losing their clean audit status. The total number of clean audits is 41. Of course, there's lots more detail. Miyelani Holeni specializes in research on municipalities around South Africa, and he was watching events there. Miyelani Holeni is the chief advisor at Ntiyiso Consulting. He joins us now live. A very good morning to you, Mr. Holeni. Thanks for making the time. Your overall initial impressions of the Auditor General Tsakani Maluleke's municipal audit outcomes?
I think given the fact that we are moving almost into the first year, or after the first year of administration after the election, we are seeing that there's a new energy that is beginning to come into the space. Certainly the numbers that we are seeing are numbers that have got glimmers of hope, but have also got falsehoods in things that should be done. But let's also acknowledge that the fact that there's 41 clean audits from about 33 in the 16-17 financial year, it means that the space is moving up. However, the unqualified with opinion has declined a bit. So we're seeing a moving system within the local government space. But what we must commend is from the AG, the dexterity with which they've been able to put together these numbers and track right down to the last detail, which means that there's a better foundation that local government and municipalities can start building upon for improvement.
That dexterity that you refer to, the Auditor General saying that specifically in relation to where there were disclaimers, they have used their powers on key material irregularities. Are we starting to see an efficient, the AG's office has always been considered one of the most efficient in the public space, but are we seeing an increase there of efficiency?
I think, let me also admit that I was also one of the skeptics initially when the AG was given the powers or was going after these powers. But you can already see the positive nature and the influence that those powers that the AG has are going to at least have a far-reaching impact within municipalities. Because what it is, and the message I think for today and municipalities going forward, the big message is accountability. And if there's no one who takes accountability, someone has to push the system until someone takes accountability, or at least if people are not willing to take accountability, then maybe they should not be in that space. So we are seeing the fact that with the examples such as Ntiyiso and other municipalities that have been issued with those binding cautionary notices, there is action, but really it should not have to go to that extent. But if it has to go to that sort of level with the AG driving and making sure that the municipalities improve, then we would really support that action. And we are going to see a lot more, and we're expecting now to see a lot more corrective action, because this is how you can remedy the space. The other thing we are seeing as well is the fact that the role players, such as the accounting officer being the municipal manager, their role is thrust into the spotlight. It's not just about the CFOs or the financial managers, but it's about the accounting officer who must take accountability. It's also about, as well, the political side who must take accountability.
Mr. Holeni, break down the numbers for us. And as you do that, just for the benefit of the viewer, remind us of the 4 audit opinions, what the unqualified is, the qualified opinion, the disclaimer, and the adverse opinion.
So at the top of the pyramid, if I may put it like that, is the clean audit, which is essentially an unqualified opinion with no findings. In other words, everything and the books, the records are kept clean, the records are available, the records are auditable, the records make sense. The second one is an unqualified one with findings. There may be findings, for instance, around expenditure, which is irregular. There may be findings around supply chain. There may be findings within revenue to go and take corrective action or their lack of controls and so on. There's also a qualified, which is now getting into the space where no municipality should allow themselves to descend into, which is when they're qualified with findings, because you are qualified in a sense that you are not able to keep your records properly, you are not able to manage your finances, you are not able to follow up on your performance management. And descending into that is where you are qualified, and there's also adverse findings. And adverse findings, as the term suggests, is that the situation is really untenable. There is nothing that can be found to be evidence of people who are taking accountability, who are taking responsibility. But descending into all of that is now the disclaimer, where the AG is now literally throwing its hands in the air and saying, we don't even know where to start or how to even assist you. You can't even put a set of annual financials together. You can't even show the evidence. You can't even show the performance that throughout the year. So really, people, it's as if that municipality, everyone was on holiday until the AG came back. So there also is the last one, which may not be one of the five, the scale, is where there's not information, or the audit is still outstanding for one reason or the other. It's not concluded. And also, we don't want to have municipalities sitting within that space.
The Auditor General also gave us a provincial picture, saying no clean audit in the Free State, and there hasn't been in a long time a collapse of local government in that province. Also saying that improvements in Limpopo, but also throwing in a cautionary there, saying the improvement is on the back of expensive consultants, and this needs to be reversed. What are your thoughts about the provincial pictures?
I think starting firstly with the Free State, the Free State has a Mangaung, which is potentially is known as a metro, but is struggling to really claim its position as being a metro that can operate within the level of high capacity municipalities. And it's a place which, if the center doesn't hold, for instance, within the Mangaung metro, the rest of the municipalities, unfortunately, are not going to take a leaf out of that, or at least have a benchmark of how to perform within there. So really, the Free State and the likes of Mafube, the likes of Maluti Apofung, and all those municipalities that are within there are really riddled with lack of management. And I think those are areas where administration is being administered or through National Treasury as well as COCTA, but we really want to see that accountability is being taken. Perhaps it's one of those municipalities or the Free State where the AG needs to look carefully to be able to issue those material findings such that they can at least remedy the situation. The second part around Limpopo is excellent, yes, the use of consultants, but I think we must also understand what consultants must be used for. So if consultants are used to perform the jobs that the finance staff or any of the staff is performing, then that is the wrongful use of consultants. Consultants are there to at least point the way forward, to open the benchmark, to bring in best practice, to bring in strategic thinking, to capacitate the thinking part, as well as to at least bring in new things and bring design thinking into municipalities. So we would advocate that if there are vacancies within municipalities, they would need to be filled, but be filled with competent individuals that are going to run within those positions. And then there's room to at least say, now we've done all the things that we have been able to do. How do we then move forward into the next level, which is where consultants can have a useful as well as an impact within municipalities. We've also seen the likes of KZN, if I may add, where there's also a focus that needs to be at least put forward around control and making sure that there's control. So provincially as well, the picture is a mixed bag. With down at the Western Cape, where there's at least the bulk of the clean audits are coming through, which also speaks volumes about the leadership as well as the management, which is there within those municipalities.
So with 459 billion rands expenditure, 18% of unqualified, what you call clean audits, and 56% unqualified findings, 20% qualified with findings, and 1% adverse findings, 4% disclaimed with findings, and 1% outstanding audits. Overall, what is your opinion on these findings of this current year that the Auditor General just delivered to us?
And I think you have just summed up the scorecard of how local government is performing. Best is performing not at the level that it should. If it was perhaps a mark that we were to give in an exam would say, look, this is bordering on 50%. It's not good enough. You are just doing enough, but you need to do more. In some areas, you'll see that the municipalities have descended into areas where they failed totally. So, but what are the solutions that need to come forward? I think that's one thing that we need to ponder. Leadership is crucial. Strategic thinking is crucial, and making sure that there's capable technical skills within municipalities so that they can move this scorecard beyond where it is, because we cannot have it for the second year and the third year, because then we don't have local government that is customer-centric. We don't have local government that is citizen-focused. We don't have local government that is able to co-create with its citizens and to govern the areas that have been put forward. So those are the areas where we are pushing that. I think the role of the AG is crucial, and the AG in the linkages with the other institutions such as the Financial Intelligence, the FIC, and the other institutions, we need to push now for that accountability so that this scorecard can start changing and drive a message to the management, the leaders, and everyone that things have now changed. And I can tell you there's a new tempo which we welcome, which is coming into local government, which should permeate into the lowest ranks of the municipalities and change the culture and change the way that municipalities are operating. It's about the citizens or the community where municipalities should be delivering services to.
We were speaking earlier about the powers that the amendments to the Public Audit Act, the PAA, give the Auditor General. And the Auditor General was speaking just now about the possibility of issuing certificates of debt to some municipalities. What impact will this have on these municipalities?
Well, that is the system of accountability. There is not a society which should not have accountability as the bedrock of its values. Because if something has been, for instance, to give an example, has been taken from or moved from somewhere, someone must know what happened. Someone must know who. Someone must know the time. Someone must also be able to say why. So in this case, if the AG issues certificates of debt, it means people are now personally liable, or at least there's personal liability that is being ascribed to the people who are called accounting officers. So perhaps they need to keep a lot more of a watch and keep diligent and make sure that they look after the numbers and look after the kitty and look after the municipalities and really be responsive to the communities that they are serving, as opposed to serving other ulterior motives that perhaps could befall them.
Mr. Holeni, thank you so much for making the time to speak to us this morning. Of course, throughout the day, we'll continue to break down the parts of the Auditor General's report that came through today on municipalities. Thanks for your time again.